Chiltern Railways, a train operating company not many will be too familiar with. It's small, it's relatively slow, and it's overshadowed by many more prominent operators on similar routes. But regardless, it's a highly interesting TOC that I want to talk about today. And just before this video starts, please do consider liking and subscribing if you do enjoy this video. Also, let me know in the comments below if you like these sort of documentary style videos. I've never done one like this before, so please do let me know if I could do anything better, if you would like to see more, what other topics I should cover. Please feel free to comment. So, enjoy the video. Thank you. Hello and welcome back to another Van Manio video. Today's video is more of a documentary style video I touched on earlier on a topic I feel highly connected to. How Chiltern Railways has gone from one of the UK's best TOCs, a prime example of how privatisation can work under the government system, achieving this by innovating hugely, running a frequent, reliable and comfortable service, and ensuring passengers were at the forefront of operations, to now, where Chiltern is running the UK's oldest stock out of any TOC. Services are hugely overcrowded, frequency has been reduced slightly, and reliability is far worse. But what are Chiltern doing about this? Is there any hope for change? Or will their managed decline continue? Find out in today's video. The rise and fall of Chiltern Railways, a victim of their own success? This video is up to date as of December 2023. Our journey starts in 1996, when privatisation was occurring across Britain's railway network, transforming British Rail into 18 different private companies. The former Network South East Chiltern franchise was one of these sectors being privatised. The Chiltern Line's route ran from recently rejuvenated London Marylebone, up the Chilterns, past High Wycombe, Princess Risborough, Bicester North and terminating at Banbury. They also ran services via Amersham and the Metropolitan Line to Aylesbury, and via Princess Risborough to Aylesbury. Services between Birmingham and Marylebone had commenced previously under British Rail in 1993, after being seized in 1967, with services being moved to the recently electrified West Coast Mainline, leaving the former Great Central Mainline, now named the Chiltern Mainline, in a state of deprivation. Network South East, as mentioned earlier, rejuvenated the route, opening Haddenham and Tame Parkway, and spending £11 million re-signalling the line from Marylebone to Banbury and Aylesbury, with Marylebone saved from closure threats that it had been receiving in the 80s. A new fleet of Class 165 DMUs also entered service, and track improvements were made. Anyway, back to the franchise. In October 1995, M40 Trains Limited won the Chiltern Line's franchise to run services from Marylebone to Aylesbury and Birmingham Snow Hill. The franchise commenced in July 1996. However, the first few years were tough. Before privatisation, Network South East had ordered 5 Class 168 DMUs, and after privatisation, Chiltern Railways rushed these into service in 1998 to cope with huge passenger demand, which led to the units having major reliability issues, and also led to the service as a whole being very poor for a few months, until Chiltern managed to get more middle carriages for the 168s. In 1998, the company adopted the Evergreen name, which was given to their infrastructure works. Project Evergreen 1 saw the rebuild of Haddenham and Tame Parkway. The line was redoubled between Princess Risborough and Bicester North, and the line speed was increased to 100 miles an hour to meet the Class 168 top speed. A number of station upgrades also followed. Reliability had improved, and the company now ran 25% more routes than under British Rail, and had 50% more staff, but still needed more units. The Class 165s Chiltern inherited were not suited to the intercity services between Marylebone and Birmingham, and the company only had 5 Class 168s. A decision was made in 1998 to order 8 more Class 168s, which were delivered in 2000. Also in 2000, the franchise was up for renewal, with M40 Trains and Go Ahead being shortlisted. M40 Trains were awarded a 20-year franchise, which began in 2002. This is a particularly important moment, as a 20-year franchise allowed M40 Trains, later owned by Deutsche Bahn and Arriva, to invest hugely in the Chiltern Mainline, without having to worry about them losing their franchise when their contract expired, so they could invest and still get the returns needed. This led to huge amounts of investment, £600 million to be precise, in the Chiltern Mainline, and, in my opinion, the golden period of Chiltern. After winning their contract, M40 trains got to work immediately and opened Warwick Parkway, an important station close to the M40 and the A46. The station was built for nearby towns and villages which did not have a station, such as Kenilworth, and had huge parking capabilities which Warwick Station nearby did not. It also saw the Chiltern Railways express services to London and Birmingham, which Warwick did not, allowing for commuters to London and Birmingham to use the new Warwick Parkway station. The new contract also saw Chiltern run daily services to Kidderminster. They also redoubled the line from Bicester North to Ano Junction near Banbury and took over running services from Leamington Spa to Stratford-upon-Avon from First Great Western Link. Chiltern also took over the operations of Leamington Spa, Warwick, Hatton and Lapworth stations from Central Trains, who no longer operated frequently to these stations. The service frequency from Marylebone to Birmingham Snow Hill was also upgraded. And, shortly after, Project Evergreen 2 was announced and work commenced. This saw works at Beaconsfield to increase the speed limit to 75 miles an hour and improve signalling at High Wycombe and Bicester. 2 new platforms, 5 and 6, were constructed at London Marylebone, and a new depot at Wembley was built. The Class 165s were refurbished in 2003, being fitted with aircon. Also in 2003, Chiltern brought a Class 121 bubble car unit into service between Aylesbury and Princess Risborough on shuttle services. In 2004, the line between Banbury and Leamington Spa was re-signalled and semaphore signals removed. Also in the same year, 6 new Class 168s were brought into service. By now, Chiltern were considered one of the most reliable operators in the UK, with their 20-year contract allowing them to completely overhaul their services and infrastructure. In 2006, however, disaster struck. A tunnel collapsed at Gerrards Cross, which closed the main line for almost 2 months. The tunnel was being built to allow a Tesco store to be built above it, but collapsed just moments before a train was due to depart under it from Gerrards Cross to Marylebone. This significantly hindered Chiltern and its passengers, but did not change the company's spirit. By 2006, the aforementioned Project Evergreen 2 upgrade was complete, and now up to 20 trains an hour could run in and out of Marylebone. The only section of the Chiltern mainline that had not been upgraded was the Norfolk to Paddington route, which was only used for diversionary routes very rarely. In 2008, the Class 168s were fully refurbished to include a full saloon makeover, and 4 brand new Class 172s were ordered to be used on commuter and regional services out of Marylebone. There was one downside to this, however. The 172s couldn't be used on the Aylesbury Metropolitan line due to their lack of tripcocks, which are necessary to run with the London Underground signalling equipment. In the same year, and 2 years early, Aylesbury Vale Parkway opened to serve the Berryfields and Weedon Hill housing developments in Aylesbury Vale. Track and signalling improvements to the rest of the Aylesbury line was also funded by the Department for Transport. In 2010, Chiltern received £250 million to upgrade the Chiltern mainline as part of their Evergreen 3 project. This new project was the biggest project on the mainline yet. "50 additional miles of route was upgraded to 100-mile-an-hour operations, with Neasden, Norfolk and Ano junctions upgraded to permit higher working speeds. A through-up track at Princess Risborough was installed for passing services, and a turn-back siding built at Gerrards Cross for terminating services. A down track was built from Norfolk Junction through West Ruislip to South Ruislip for express services, and Bicester North was remodelled for 100-mile-an-hour down running. Chiltern reopened Birmingham Moor Street's mothballed terminus platforms 3 and 4 in December 2010 to terminate services, costing £13 million, with only a handful of services now continuing to Birmingham Snow Hill. The late Adrian Shooter, who I really should mention more in this video, the former managing director of Chiltern, was pivotal to these works, and praised the project for not using any taxpayer money, a huge benefit of the 20-year contract Chiltern had. The works enabled Chiltern's services from Birmingham Moor Street to Marylebone to decrease from 117 minutes to a fastest peak time of 92 minutes. Now Chiltern could compete with Virgin Trains, with the companies going through several phases of adverts against one another, one of my favourite being Chiltern's "Still a Virgin" advert. Around this time, Chiltern launched their Mainline brand of intercity express services between Birmingham Moor Street and Marylebone, with their Class 168s adorning a new silver livery, which they still wear today, and new sleek silver interiors. Services were also extended between Stratford-upon-Avon and Marylebone, with Birmingham Moor Street and Marylebone services being twice hourly now. Also in 2010, Chiltern obtained 2 peak-hour loco-haul services using Wrexham and Shropshire's loco-haul fleet. By the end of 2010, Chiltern were now regarded as a huge success of privatisation, running reliable, fast, frequent and comfortable services. They were the first train company in the world to use mobile ticketing, have a Twitter account, and have continuous free Wi-Fi along its entire route. Over £400 million had already been invested in the line, with 42 brand new trains. Reliability was at an all-time high, and customer satisfaction was at 91%. A route once planned for closure was now competing with the express operators. Chiltern were now well and truly punching above their weight, and more was yet to come. In 2012, the Department for Transport announced permission for Chiltern to begin work on Phase 2 of Project Evergreen 3. A completely self-funded route was to be constructed between the Chiltern Mainline, Bicester Village and Oxford, totalling £130 million. This was to replace a previous route from Bicester Town to Oxford, run by First Great Western. A new railway link was to be created from the newly rebuilt Bicester Town station, reopened as Bicester Village, to the Chiltern Mainline, allowing Chiltern to run services from Marylebone to Oxford, challenging First Great Western. This is exactly the sort of thing privatisation was supposed to do: increase competition, improve service, and, in the long run, reduce prices. This would tick all those boxes. The line was doubled to Oxford, and a new station, Oxford Parkway, was built. Bicester Town and Islip, the only other station on the line, were also rebuilt with 2 platforms. Services commenced from Oxford Parkway to Marylebone in October 2015, with services extending to Oxford a year later. Now Chiltern were running up to 432 weekday services, up from 240 when the franchise first began. However, there were some issues with this. Services on the new line were 3 trains an hour, with services from the other Bicester station, Bicester North, being reduced to 2 trains an hour. The expectation was that most passengers would switch to the new line from Bicester North to Bicester Village. However, this was not the case, and services from Bicester North became highly unreliable, with services often full and standing. Eventually, passengers acknowledged the new line, and services gradually became less overcrowded. Also in 2012, Chiltern inherited all of Wrexham and Shropshire's Mark III and Class 67s, due to Wrexham and Shropshire ceasing operations. The Mark III coaches were upgraded with automatic plug doors and toilet retention tanks installed. They were also fully refurbished to match the Chiltern Mainline brand. Chiltern also gained a further 10 Mark IIIs to make a 5th 6-car set. Chiltern continued to use a further loaned Deutsche Bahn Mark III 6-car set, repainted from Virgin Trains' old livery into British Rail blue, to allow for the Class 168s to get used to the new Oxford services. This set was eventually withdrawn in 2015, when Chiltern gained 9 ex-Transpennine Express Class 170s in 2015-16 to be converted into Class 168s, with tripcocks installed for use on the Aylesbury line. These were classified as Class 168-3 and are the most recent addition to Chiltern's passenger fleet. In 2014, Chiltern received the first of 5 Class 68 locomotives to replace the Class 67s on mainline services from Marylebone to Birmingham Moor Street and up towards Kidderminster. The Class 68s were fitted with AAR push-pull equipment to be used with a Mark III DVT, and 2 more Class 68s were also fitted with this equipment and are commonly used between DRS freight use and Chiltern use. So that, basically in my opinion, is the end of the success for Chiltern. They started off with practically nothing and worked their way up to compete with the fastest express operators in the UK. They upgraded their mainline several times under 3 Evergreen projects, and had the ambition no other operator did, opening a new line to London for the first time in decades and vastly improving services for all passengers. However, since then, there has been a state of managed decline on the route. The first sign of managed decline was after the Evergreen 3 project. After this happened, Chiltern had fulfilled their contract obligations regarding infrastructure investment, so there was nothing more they had to do to invest in the line. Although they had made some plans for other projects, such as upgrading the line from Norfolk to Paddington, remodelling Banbury, introducing a Chiltern Metro service to West Ruislip, single-handedly reopening the line from Oxford to Bedford and Aylesbury to Milton Keynes Central, which is now being rebuilt as part of East West Rail, and opening a line from Aylesbury to a Parkway station near Rugby. None of these have progressed, except East West Rail. Franchise contracts were also lazily dished out by the government. Instead of having a full bidding process, like that of 2000, the DfT just gave Chiltern by Arriva contracts without major infrastructure obligations or rolling stock requirements. This has led to less investment over the line and less dock improvements. Also talking about Chiltern's fleet, it's now, as of December 2023, the UK's oldest out of any operator on average, at over 30 years old. The stock itself is also becoming less reliable, with more stock out for repairs at one time, leading to less capacity and major overcrowding, which has become very common in recent years. Inside, the stock needs major refurbishment work, especially the ageing Class 165s. The retirement of the ageing Class 121s in 2017 and the removal of the Class 172s to move to West Midlands Railway in 2021 has only added to the stock shortage Chiltern currently have. COVID-19, as with every operator, has hampered Chiltern. They are now managed directly by the DfT, meaning that Arriva have zero management over the company without the anti-rail DfT approving it, hence why any improvements to the service have been slow. Constant strikes by ASLEF and RMT, as much as I agree with them, have led to stock maintenance also being behind schedule, leading to a mass stock shortage, not helped by the fact Chiltern's repairs are done directly in-house, so affected hugely by strikes. A recent fuel pump failure at Aylesbury Depot led to huge service reductions for several weeks. Despite these setbacks, Chiltern still managed to have the third least amount of cancellations out of any operator, and their punctuality was the third highest out of any operator in the UK. This is according to the ORR between 2022 and 2023. Reliability from 2022 to 2023 has also increased by 15%, a sign that improvements have come. With services, however, Chiltern have still not recovered fully from pre-COVID and run a less frequent timetable than before COVID, even when the company could do with an increase in services. The May 2023 timetable also caused controversy over the reduction in services to Aylesbury off-peak with just one train an hour. This was in favour of bolstering services between Marylebone to Oxford and Birmingham. Also, since 2018, Chiltern have rebranded and removed the Mainline branding from their trains. This has also led to a rebranding of the services, with the express 92-minute services from Birmingham Moor Street now not being anything less than 2 hours, with services tending to be much slower across the network, including the removal of express services from Oxford to Marylebone, with Great Western Railway now being the more enticing operator, with new intercity IET trains compared to the battered 35-year-old 165s. Also, services have been cut back from Kidderminster to terminate at Stourbridge Junction, and that 20-year contract we mentioned earlier? Well, as Chiltern finished all their obligations by 2016, they had 5 years of just not really doing anything, not having to invest and innovate in the railway. If anything, the contract was slightly too long, and Arriva just took profits without investing. In 2017, Chiltern rebranded and changed their logo. I'm not a huge fan of myself on the logo, but only because I adored the previous one. However, it does perhaps suggest a change for the worse perhaps. Perhaps a change that recently has been far worse for the passengers. So, although most of this sounds doom and gloom, surely something is being done to try and improve Chiltern's desperate stock shortage, its old, tired fleet, and its poor service frequency. Well, yes. The Class 168s are currently undergoing refurbishment as I speak, with the first unit, 168003, expected to be returned to service in 2024. The refurbishment includes a new refreshed interior, new LED lighting, a deep clean to the stock, and a new livery to bring the 168s well into the 2020s, and to finally incorporate that new branding. The hope is that this refurbishment will allow the 168s to run in operation for another 10 to 15 years, up to their 40th birthdays. The Class 165s will also undergo a light refresh, with their last one being in the early 2000s, and it's hoped that this will allow them to serve until the early 2040s, with replacement new stock being introduced from the mid to late 2030s. A tender is currently out for the manufacturers to build these replacement units, with a focus on reducing emissions through bi-mode units or battery operation, due to the fact the line has not yet been electrified. The oldest stock in Chiltern's fleet, the Mark III coaches, are also due to be replaced. A tender is currently out for the replacement of the Mark IIIs, with already built units/carriages either operating on the British Rail network or in warm storage being preferred. The main rumours currently are for the recently withdrawn Transpennine Express Mark V A's to replace the Mark IIIs, keeping the Class 68s as locomotives. Class 175s, Class 180s and Class 221s have also all been rumoured. However, this seems unlikely. Firstly, due to the fact Chiltern stated that they don't want the 175s, due to their tendency to sometimes catch fire. Also, the 180s and 221s currently have operators. In my opinion, the Mark 5As would be the obvious choice. Reliability can be improved by training enough staff, and currently the Class 68s are undergoing modifications to reduce sound levels which have plagued them since their introduction. Hopefully, service frequency can also be improved with the addition of the Mark III replacements, leading to more units available, and thus a higher service frequency can be implemented. New services are also planned from Birmingham Moor Street to Oxford, and new platforms at Birmingham Moor Street and Birmingham Snow Hill to potentially increase the maximum services. The East West Rail route from Oxford to Milton Keynes Central will also be run by Chiltern, and there are talks of a secondary terminus being built at Old Oak Common HS2 for the Chiltern Mainline to allow for more services to run, with Marylebone already at capacity. The future then may be bright. So, in conclusion, Chiltern have managed to go from a nothing franchise to one of the most well respected in under 20 years, mostly due to the help of Adrian Shooter's leadership and a 20-year contract, just for a managed decline by Arriva and the government to leave the company and line in a sorry state today. As somebody who uses the line often, I see these negatives firsthand, hence why I wanted to make this video. Hopefully though, the next decade can be a bit brighter, with new stock and services implemented. Thank you very much for watching this video. If I've left anything out or got anything wrong, do let me know in the comments. If you have enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, and let me know in the comments if you want me to make another sort of documentary style video. I put a lot of effort and time into this, including all the diagrams and getting all the images, etc. So it would be hugely appreciated by me if you were to like and subscribe. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.